Okay, hi everyone. I have up on the screen an image of Beethoven's 10th Symphony, as well as Ramanujan's partition formula. I look so smart up here. And E equals MC squared. So Ramanujan's partition formula, Ramanujan, I watched a movie the other night called Eternity. And he was an Indian gentleman that these formulas would just come to him out of the blue. He didn't have much education. When he was questioned about how they come, he said it was from the thought of God, or it was God speaking to him. So he knew that. He knew that it was God's work. So, and then at the bottom, E equals MC squared, as we all know, is Einstein's formula. Energy equals mass times the speed of light. What I was going to do, because they did compare Ramanujan's partition formula to Beethoven's 10th Symphony in this movie, and then I threw in Einstein's formula. I just wanted to get a feeling of what are the connections with this energy that comes this way, just out of the blue, just to see what that's about and where things are at, when these things came. Because, there is this connection that with this divine flow, these things just come out that are so wondrous. So let's get a feeling of it. Okay, so going up to Beethoven's 10th Symphony, okay, right away it goes down to the ground. And what this feels as if it's signifying, as I can see it, is that Beethoven was heavy in body, yet this connection, this spark, this music, or these symphonies, came from something higher than that didn't have anything to do with whatever physical stature he had. I do see that his ears are dark around him, as he was deaf, and yet this came, and one can see how it's written more scratchy that way. Okay, so it flowed through this heavy, rather surly being, that's hard to say. Oh, was he a god man? It's hard to say right there. Oh, this immediately said no, not to. No, oh my goodness, and that came so easily, so I guess not. So it really, that really wasn't it. There was just something about, it was still there. It just came that way, very mysterious. And these notes, the way this music comes and just hits people's heart that are open to this kind of, it like awakens part of the brain in a way that is higher, about this higher, lofty energy, and one can just go, whoa, this is, just feel this difference with it. And it is rather, for some reason, I just see the brain and how this works with it in a way, or connects with it in a way to just awaken, and I do see some parts of the brain, lighting up there, and hearts too, of just something beyond their usual feeling. So it is, and again, I see math kind of there. It is similar in the way these connect, like this type of perfection with math, in the way that's there, and one gets that solution. It's like a spark of insight, a spark of light. The way this comes with, it's some opening. I do see an opening in the head, like it just blasts there. It's just boom, and one is just, it comes out that way. It definitely is has to do with light. Light, okay, and with Ramanujan's, when I do get next to his formula, let's say he was more in touch with God in the way that he could see how this did come from God. Let's see, Beethoven, not so much. Not so much in the way that he could, is this true? He just heavy in his being. He's surly. He has a heart though that was there, but he wasn't, connecting so much in with that. It just came. And with Ramanujan, he did have an understanding more of this is God's work. There's a lighter feeling to it, and he was lighter in body, I'm sure. There's just a lighter feeling, more like, okay, this is my destiny. This is just coming from God, and it will have its time. And he couldn't not do it. Is this correct? People that have this happen, are they able to really avoid it? And okay, they can't, and not really. I mean, if someone held their hands down or something, but they just, it's like it's them. It's part of them. It's like in their cells and their blood and their bones, and then it just comes. So, and like I say, Ramanujan didn't have any education, and it still came that way. So let's see how these two connect. Since they were saying in the movie, they compared it to this symphony that's, I just see this, it's like bread or something. I see some bread, meaning this stuff is in some ways, for some, bread for the soul. I mean, those that see this when it comes out and understand how it all works, they're like, wow. They just know that this just feeds their soul and makes them feel like something just comes together just right, and that feeling. Okay, so these are very similar that way, like this is like musical notes and this is like math. Okay, they do have, they're like, and there's an equal sign there, very equal that way in terms of the way they are presented. And this, now you can see there's more movement out, and this, like sun energy as we go down to E equals MC squared is more like a lightning speed type of energy, like sun, like light, like travel beyond Earth, beyond mind, beyond anything imaginable. This particular formula that is so astounding. Probably the most famous formula on the planet, yes. So it's just got such a movement outward is the best way to put it, because of the speed of light. It's very much feeling the travel in it, and yet the energy that's ever present, the mass, how they are equal. These are equal energies, equal to this same. So let's see. Let's see how they all connected. I can see Einstein. He had more. It was interesting. That does evolve out a little bit. I believe he was evolved in himself in many ways, evolved and had some things to say about it that were helpful to many, not just this. So he was evolved in his brain too, quite obviously. So, education isn't needed, senses aren't needed. Are they? Are they? Let's see. No, they're not. Okay, they're not needed always for this or at all. I don't know how much education Beethoven got. I can't imagine. I think he was forced to play the piano and things, but so he had the feeling of it. But did this come through education? 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 Okay, so it doesn't matter how much. And this one again wants to move way out, like this is so out there in terms of what most can understand. But even the one maybe Einstein was very learned or spoke with philosophers and things, it didn't come that way. It didn't matter how much knowledge he had accumulated. It just came beyond those things, beyond those confines, which is something to know. I mean, this particular formula especially breaks open all limitations. This one too. Okay, they all do. I don't want to say especially. I'm no genius that way. It looks like all of them do. And this was something that, just to speak of how this channel comes, this divine happening of these wondrous happenings, and these are more, genius type of things, and not just that, but, in the way it flows from the cosmos, or from that openness, that beyond the boundaries or the confines of what one feels is true or not true, or what they can or cannot do, or what they're capable of or not capable of. It flows beyond those things, beyond their hands, beyond their eyes, beyond all of it. And it just it works that way. It'll come in, and if one is open, and whatever is there that's been cultivated, it'll just be there. These stunning things. So something of interest, and let's just see what happens when we move it around. This music divine, which is like waves on this beautiful ocean that just flows, in this. I wish I had the right words. I want to say in sync, but that isn't even the right word. It's like nothing, because in sync you think of something and something else. This is like has a unbroken, fluid movement and intelligence, pure intelligence, or some intelligence in it, as this does too. And again, this wants to rise a little higher, as I believe Ramanujan was a little more understanding of this comes from God, and this is, this again is the evolving of a soul. So, just something to note that, let's see what else this is doing. Okay. So ground, connect, heaven channel, or cosmos channel is really what all should do, is stay connected to that cosmos. Open up to it. Open up your heart and mind to that. Don't pay attention to those thoughts that say you're limited, or you're only this, or I'm just that, I can only do this and that. Let it rise higher, as one can see this is rising higher. Let it open this vastness to you, and see what happens, what more can come that is, helpful or beautiful to humanity. So is this it? And all it is. Okay, so I hope all the ones that are watching this and have enjoyed this, and thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great weekend. Namaste. Bye-bye.